Hi everyone, I'm Jay. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll show you how I made this deliciously tasty steak and kidney pie. I'll need one large or medium-sized onion chopped up. I'll be using 4 ounces of kidneys for my pie. I'm just going to trim around that white centre part, discard that, and then trim the rest into fine pieces. Once the kidneys are all chopped, I'll pop them in the fridge for now. Next, I'll pour 3 tablespoons of oil in a heavy base pan. I want my pan to get really hot. In 2 batches under a high heat, I'll start browning my 500 grams of steak. I'll transfer the browned pieces to a bowl. I'll turn the heat down a little and add a couple of tablespoons of oil and get the chopped onions nice and soft. After 5 to 8 minutes, my onions are nice and soft, and now I'll return the meat. Then I'll go in with 2.5 tablespoons of plain flour. I'll get that stirred in before adding 125 milliliters of beef stock, and then I'll turn the heat right up at this point. Next, I'll go in with a 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. Fresh would be great as well, but I couldn't get hold of any. And in goes 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Oh, sorry about the steam. I'll give this a good stir before turning the heat down to a simmer and allow to cook with the lid on, stirring in between time. In the meantime, I'll make a start on the short crust pastry. I've measured out 12 ounces of plain flour. And I'll be using 6 ounces of very cold butter. I'm using a salted butter, so I won't be adding any salt. I've chopped the butter into small cubes just so it's easier to incorporate into the flour. I'm literally just using the tips of my fingers to rub the butter into the flour until I get a crumb texture. This will take a few minutes. Once I've incorporated the butter into the flour, I'll start adding some ice cold water. I'll start adding a little bit at a time until it comes together easily. I don't want it too wet or too dry. So that's enough liquid now. I'm just going to cover my pastry and allow it to rest in the fridge for a few hours. I'll check on my steak. As you can see, the sauce has reduced and thickened. After 1 hour and 25 minutes, the pieces are soft enough for me to stir in the kidneys. I'll put the lid back on and allow to cook for 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes since I've added the kidneys, and I'm going to season with some black pepper. I want to reduce my sauce down a little, so I'm going to turn up the heat and let it bubble away without the lid for a few minutes. I'm happy with it now. Look at that delicious, rich, deep sauce. I'll take it off the heat and let it cool right down. At this point, I'll take my pastry out of the fridge so it's easier to roll. My steak and kidney fillings cooled right down now, and I'll get to work filling my pie. At this point, I've also preheated my oven to 180 Celsius. On a heavily floured surface, I'll cut my pastry into 4. So I'll line my foil dish, making sure the pastry is flush to the sides and corners. I don't want any air pockets, so I'm quite careful about this. I've just taken some of the pastry to get into the sides and corners. Once I've lined my dishes, it's time to load with this delicious steak and kidney filling. Once filled, I'll set them to one side and start rolling the top. I'll brush the sides and corners with some beaten egg before putting on the top. Once I've done that, I'll take a sharp knife and trim the excess pastry. I'll press the sides down and make sure that the pastry is flush to the sides and that there's no air pockets. Take a sharp knife and make 3 incisions on the top. I'll crimp the sides to make a neat border. I'll pop my pies on a baking tray and I'll brush all over with beaten egg. I'll bake for 40 minutes at 180 Celsius. And after 40 minutes, we have perfectly cooked steak and kidney pies. I love mine with some homemade chunky oven chips. And there it is, delicious homemade steak and kidney pie encased in a melt-in-the-mouth pastry. I can't deny it takes a bit of effort, but for me it's well worth it. If you've enjoyed today's recipe, please share, comment, like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care of yourselves and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.